Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, viewers. Thank you for joining us on this very special segment. Today marks a deeply solemn and historic moment for millions of Palestinians and for people of conscience around the world. The word Nagba, Arabic for catastrophic, is used to describe the mass displacement, dispossession, and tragedy that believed the Palestinian people in 1948. It's a term that captures the pain of an uprooted people, the trauma of occupation, and a struggle that continues to this day. We are deeply honored to be joined tonight by His Excellency Yousef S. Y. Ramadan, the Ambassador of Palestine to Bangladesh, to reflect on this year's Nagba Day, the evolving situation in Gaza, and the future of Palestine in the face of continued challenges and international support. Ambassador Ramadan, welcome back. It's always a great privilege to have you with us.
Thank you.
Let me begin with the heart of today's conversation for the Palestinian people. Nagba is not just a historical date, it's a living experience. Could you start by sharing with our viewers what Nagba means to Palestinians and how the memory of the catastrophe continues to shape Palestinian identity today?
First of all, I would like to express a greeting that I carry from the people of Palestine to the heroic people of Bangladesh for their tremendous and well-recorded support. Good evening to the viewers as well. Catastrophe is a unique thing in the history of the Palestinian people and the Arab nation in general. It's started when the Arthur Balfour, he promised the Jewish to provide them with a state in Palestine. And after the First World War, British were mandating Palestine. And since then, since the 1917, the British start bringing Jewish from all over the European countries, and sometimes even by force, bring them to Palestine. At that time, it was not possible for us to understand what's going on. So we were maybe naive enough to welcome them and provide them with food and provide them with shelter and provide them with jobs even, as we thought these people were being denied their right in different places in Europe and being slaughtered in Europe and so on, so on, so on. So it's our duty to help them. That was at the beginning. Then I think after 1923, 6 years later, we discovered that this is not just a refugee coming to pass by, a transit refugee. No, they're coming to stay, they're coming to take our place. That's why when the first revolution started in 1926 in Palestine, we were faced with horrible retaliation from the British colonial regime. And to cut the story short, until 1948. 1948, the Israeli population or the Jewish population reached from 4% in 1914 to 37% in 1947. So you can imagine. And during this period of time, over 20 years, the British trained them, the British made an army from them, British provide them with weapons, provide them with everything. And we were given nothing at all, nothing. So they start the ethnic cleansing, killing the Palestinians, removing them from their villages and cities and towns and so on, forcibly. At that time, we lost a big number, almost 12,000 people died, massacred during that time. Although the population of Palestine was 1.5 million at that time, all of it. So to lose that much, you're losing almost like 1% of the population is lost. They took our home, they took our villages, they took our identity, they changed the name of Palestine to Israel. And we became refugees in the surrounding areas, and sometimes in Gaza Strip or in the West Bank, which was not occupied yet. And since that day, we are facing the difficulty of being a refugee without an identity. Now, those refugees who were ethnically cleansed at that time were 960,000 people, which almost 60% of the total population of Palestine. Those people today became 15 million people, 15 million. 7 million inside Palestine and 8 million living all over the world as refugees, just like myself, as a refugee. So we haven't seen or we haven't witnessed what is the meaning of having your own state, what is the meaning of having your own passport, your own ID, your own home. We don't know how does it look like. We didn't have this experience at all. Our father left, I was born outside in the exile, and my son. They don't know what's Palestine. What does it mean? So this injustice inflicted on the Palestinian people, it has never inflicted on any other nation in the world.
So this year marks 76 years since the Nagba.
In fact, yes.
Yeah. And how do you see the international community's acknowledgement evolving, particularly after last year's first official commemoration of the event?
Actually, they were part of the conspiracy, the international law or the United Nations were part of the conspiracy, because in 1947, in November, they have decided, the majority, to make partition of Palestine into two states, one for the Arabs and one for the Jews, in which they gave the Jews 55% of the land and they gave the Arab 45%. Though the Arab were 67% or 63% of the population, and those 63 they get only 45%. So we were not member of the United Nations at that time, or the Nation of League at that time. It was we had no government, so we had no way to say. We did not vote. We have no place to vote. We were not members actually to vote. So 12 countries, I think, voted against, and 34 countries voted with, as I remember. So it was the majority. And then it was decided that Palestine will be split into two. But what the Israeli did, they started the war and they took 78% of the land. Not 55, the portion was given to them. They seized by force 78% of Palestine. And then again in 1967, they seized the rest of Palestine, West Bank, Gaza Strip, and Jerusalem, the other 22%. So they became in total control of Palestine, and they drove more and more Palestinians outside. And this is the intensive policy of Israel from day one. They want as much geography with less demography. They don't want to see Palestinian. They want the land. So that's why they make the life so hard and so difficult for us. In the West Bank and in Gaza. In Gaza, it was seen by the whole world how we are being treated by the Israeli. It's unbelievable, unacceptable, it's inhumane, and all these things. But it happened. And the intention is they want the people out of the country, completely out. You have 8 million refugees, the rest of the Palestinians should be also refugees. They don't care much. And they're doing the same thing in the West Bank. They're making life hell for the Palestinians in the West Bank in order to leave the country. That they don't feel safe, they don't feel secure, they cannot provide their food for their own children, so they leave. But on the other hand, they should understand, and the world should understand, we made this mistake once in 1948, and we will never make the same mistake again. They should be clear in their head. And to prove that, when they forced the people to leave from North Gaza to the south, they destroyed North completely destroyed. And then, when there was a ceasefire, all the people who came from the north, they went back to the north. And they know their home was destroyed completely, but yet just to prove that this is our land, we're going to remain in our land. Either we live there or we die there, but we will not leave it.
So, Ambassador, let's come to the present. As we speak, Gaza is under siege again. The humanitarian crisis has worsened, lives lost, families displaced, basic services in collapse. How would you describe the current situation on the ground in Gaza?
You have 500,000 people are in starving, famine, according to the United Nations. Several people already died, especially children. There was images which you cannot see. Children, you can see only the bones and the skin, nothing else. And that is shown in the Israeli TVs. And for some Israeli, this is it's very interesting for them, very enjoyable. I don't understand how they value humanity. Anyway, now the situation in Gaza Strip, I don't think it has ever happened. If we go for the extreme we call Holocaust, which happened in against the Jews, this is much worse than the Holocaust. And we are being the victim of the victims. The same victim in the Holocaust, now we are their victims, unfortunately. But the coming days, I think it's going to be much better than the past days. Yes, because we can read what's going on. The Americans have finally decided that they will send their own companies, private companies, in order to distribute the food to the people, which is a very good position from the American side. I think the Americans start seeing things from their own perspective, not from the Israeli lenses. And that's what makes the difference lately of the dispute between Netanyahu and Donald Trump. This is actually, we are very much optimistic. Personally, I am optimistic about it.
So, is it fair to say that what is happening in Gaza today is a continuation of the Nagba by other means?
Nagba has never stopped since 1948. It's, you see, Nagba was the headline, but the series is still going on, episode after episode. It's not finished yet. Okay, there was time when it was wasn't so devastated. This time was too much, but it was always, it's like up and down, but it never stopped. Because as long as we're living as a refugee outside, the Nakba continue. The Nakba will stop the day we go back to our homes. This is when Nakba will be over. But we have to survive. We have to do everything in our hand, in our power, to survive for that day, for that victory day that we have to achieve under any condition or circumstances. Palestinian people believe, even the children believe, that the only place to survive is Palestine.
Mr. Yousef Ramadan, there are heartbreaking reports of hospitals being bombed, journalists being killed, and humanitarian aid being obstructed. What do you think has changed or not changed about the world's reaction to the human suffering?
Unfortunately, if you realize at the beginning of the war, there was the demonstration was filling the streets of Europe and America also. And then it was slowing down. It's like Israeli is trying to deal with the world in a psychological manner, that let the people get used to the scene. And when they get used to it, khalas, they ignore it. Then the killing of the Palestinian people become just like numbers. How many people died today? 50, 60, 70. So it's just a number. It becomes numbers. And it becomes normal, something normal to the people. And to a certain extent, they did succeed because there was less and less demonstration in the Western world, in fact. But at the same time, there was a very important few things happened. One of the most important ones was the International Criminal Court accusing Netanyahu as a war criminal and wanted by the International Criminal Court. This is one. The other thing was there was so many countries who recognized the state of Palestine as a result. 4 European countries as a result. The French position today is extremely progressive one. They promised that June next month they will recognize the state of Palestine.
That's great.
This is an amazing one. And obviously the British are looking into the same thing. So we are gaining support after support from the rest of the world since the 7th of October. It's true that the 7th of October was a price, a very heavy price, which we paid about 200,000 people between dead and between injured. It's a big one. Okay, we gained something, but if we want to compare, we cannot compare because we lost lives here. We lost life here. And today, Israel is completely isolated. Isolated from the European countries, isolated from the West and from the East and from Global South. This is one of the benefits that we get. So the price we paid is very heavy, extremely heavy. It's very dear to us, but we had no choice. It wasn't in our hand. So what I think is that the future is going to be much, much better for the Palestinians.
In the past, voices like Khadra symbolized Palestinian resistance through hunger strikes and civil disobedience. His death sparked a global concern. Do you believe individual sacrifices like his are making the world more aware of the plight of Palestinians?
Look, we are a human being and we value lives very much, regardless of this human is a Muslim, Christian, Jews, or whatever. We value life. We were born like this, our culture is like this, our religion is like that. So I always believe that the best way to solve any problem is by two human beings sitting on the table and through dialogue. This is the best possible way. And this is the only win-win situation. The last thing you will think about is how to spill blood. This should be the last bullet in your gun. That's what we all believe in. Absolutely. Israel has driven us to the edge, completely to the edge. That's why we raised our weapon in their faces. Otherwise, we wouldn't. I told you in 1917, 18, 19, until 23, we used to feed them. We used to give them shelter, give them job. And yet, look what happened. They took everything from us and they threw us out. And they took our places. This is in return of the favor that we have done to them. So
administrative detention, holding people without charge, remains a tool used by the Israeli authorities. Is it not this fundamentally incompatible with international human rights rules?
Can you repeat?
What I'm saying that administrative detention,
yes,
holding people without charge,
of course,
remains a tool used by the Israeli authorities. And isn't this fundamentally incompatible with international human rights norms?
Zalbay, tell me one thing Israel does which is not against the international law. One single thing. Everything they do is against the international law. Everything. Not only the detention, destroying hospitals, killing of journalists, targeting civilians, especially children. If you remember the World Kitchen, people who came from Europe to feed us, to feed the hungry people, they were targeted. So nothing Israel does consistent with the international law. Nothing. Not only detention. Everything. The occupation itself is it's against the international law. Occupying other territories is not. So in the old days, in the past, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, those people are called resistance movement, not a terrorist organization. Today everything has changed. They call them terrorists and they're fighting for freedom, for their own freedom. They will become terrorists if they have a freedom and still they continue to fight. Then they become a terrorist. But they fight for their own freedom, for their own dignity, for the land, for the future of their children. How can we call them a terrorist?
Let's talk about everyday suffering. Homes are demolished, water is controlled, and land is grabbed, as you said. The Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions has alarming figures: over 55,000 Palestinian structures destroyed. How do you see this affecting the long-term viability of a two-state solution?
Yeah. As remind again the viewer that I said at the beginning that the Israeli intention is to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people completely from Palestine, all of it. Mm-hmm. So they have all kinds of means and method in order to achieve their goal. And this is one of them, demolishing houses. I'll tell you another story. Palestinian people in the West Bank depend mainly on olives and olive oil. When the crop ripes, they have to go and pick it up. And that's happened between October and November every year. What happened in October, at the beginning of October, settlers comes, sit in your orchard under the trees for days with their guns. You cannot enter that, your own land, until this start falling, the olives start falling. When the olive falls down, the price of it becomes cheaper than when you pick it up from the tree. This is the rule like this. So in order to make life difficult for them, and sometimes they themselves pick up and they take it. So you have no means of life. You have no other income. So everybody in Israel, the settler and the Israeli army and the government and the right wing, they're doing the same thing. Making how to make life miserable for the Palestinian people. They don't care about international law because Israel was never on trial before, because Israel always supported by the United States of America, the veto of the United States. The United States used veto in its the day they took this power, veto. Till today, Israel gained 90% of the vetoes of the American vetoes, and 10% in the favor of America, just because of the American interest. But today these things had to change because the American realize or start realizing that Israel, which we have helped to create, it was created for a reason, that Israel will continue to protect the interest of the United States of America. But today Israel is colliding with that interest in the Middle East, because now America have more interest with the Arab world than Israel. You have interest with the Gulf state who have 43% of the oil, 25% of the gas, 37% of the world reserve in cash. It is in those countries. It's where the business is, where the money is. And Mr. Trump, as a businessman, he deals with politics from his point of view as a businessman. And he wants America to be rich again and great again. So that's why his first visit is to Saudi Arabia, where all the money is.
Yeah, and water. Palestinians are denied access to even the basic right to clean water. Is the international community doing enough to address these slow, systematic violations?
Look, I want to be fair with the international community. We shouldn't give the international community big muscles because they don't have. The international community we talk about, their decisions are confiscated by the American. America decide, America does what they want to do. And Israel knows that very well. So we keep talking about international community, and international law. Only weak hide behind international law. Only the weak, the strong doesn't. And this is worldwide. Worldwide. So we shouldn't continue to talk about the international community and talk about the international law. It exists on paper. It doesn't exist in realities. In our time, it doesn't. And that is a fact. That is a fact.
Ambassador, from Egypt to China, many international players are trying to mediate or offer support. What role do you think countries like Bangladesh can play in advocating for Palestinians more effectively?
Look, we understand the situation in Bangladesh very well. Today, Bangladesh is going through maybe some difficulties. We are a little bit worried about that, and we hope that they're able to cope with all the challenges. Because a country like Bangladesh, who's been supporting Palestine fully, we need friends to be strong, not weak. So it is time for the Arab world and the Muslim world to support Bangladesh in every possible way, I believe. In every possible way, they should support Bangladesh. Bangladesh deserve our intention. They do. Related to China, then we go to jumping to another thing. You know, China today is competing with the United States of America for the superpowers, to share superpower, to share superiority with it. And they have the right, because they have proven that they're capable enough and they're good enough to do that. So for Bangladesh, going to that direction, I think they have the full right to do that. Because finally, every country has the right to do what's good for its people. And that is something that nobody should blame Bangladesh which direction should go, as long as it provides benefit to the people. To the east or to the west, it doesn't matter. What matters is you need to feed 180 million people. You need to provide security and stability for those people, freedom as well for these people, and strong and powerful government. That's what Bangladesh really needs. And this is, I think, should be priority.
And Bangladesh has been vocal in supporting Palestine.
Of course, no doubt about it.
And from your vantage point, how do you see Palestine-Bangladesh relations evolving, especially in times like this?
In fact, it's the opposite. Look, let me be very clear with this. Maybe some people might be angry from me, but I'll be straightforward with you. From the independent day, 1971, until today, the Bangladeshi people, regardless of government who run, fully support Palestine. The Palestinian cause have a special corner in the heart of every Bangladeshi citizen. And this is where we depend on. So who comes to power, any government comes to power, as long as this government is a democratic government, fear the people, we have nothing to worry about, because the people are with us. That proven the day they started demonstration against the previous regime, the Palestinian flag were near to the Bangladeshi flag. And the Palestinian scarf was almost in every person who were able to get the scarf. So those people have Palestine in their heart. At the time they're fighting for their own freedom. And last month, from the 7th to 11th to 12th to 26th, all these demonstrations showed clearly that we, with all the difficulty that we have in our country, we have not forgotten you.
Thank you. And we have seen military and diplomatic exchanges between the two nations as well. Yes. Could you tell us a bit more about any recent developments in Palestine-Bangladesh cooperation?
We have, now I had a discussion with the Commerce Minister, very understanding personality, about this, how we are able to bring the Palestinian products to Bangladesh, for example. And he welcomed the idea, and he expressed his full support to this, even with the duty-free also, to bring Palestinian products, because that will help the Palestinian economy. For us, the problem is that in Palestine, we are not allowed to import anything directly unless if we get permission from Israel, because it has to go through the Israeli ports. So, for example, the garments we import, 85% of the imported garment to Palestine comes from Bangladesh. But it either goes, it always has to go through a third party country, not directly. So we have to ship it to certain place, to Jordan or to Singapore, and then we ship it to Palestine. Before that, there was a people of Bangladeshi who came to Palestine in 1960, in 1950, in 1976. They start coming, and they were fighting with the Palestinians and died for the Palestinian cause. They were martyred in the Palestinian cause. And still we have big number of them are in Gaza Strip, in which they carry the Palestinian nationality today. Those are not forgotten. So the Bangladeshi blood was also split for the cause of Palestine. It didn't happen in other nations, right? I mean, we should do that, but our brothers from Bangladesh, they didn't leave us alone. They came, they sacrificed their life. And what's more important and more valuable than your own life? They sacrificed that for the sake of it. So not many nations do that. So no, for Bangladesh, if we want to speak about the support of Bangladesh to the Palestinian people, we can make books about this. Books and books and books. So this is something that really I feel proud of. And I was telling that day that I lived all my life as a refugee, but when I came to this country, I felt at home. I'm not anymore a refugee in this country. I really feel at home between my people and so on. And that is a reality.
Ambassador, let's be realistic. Peace talks have stalled Oslo, Camp David, the Abraham Accords. None have delivered a lasting solution. What is the Palestinian position now on negotiations? And do you think global dynamics like the Ukraine war or China's rise might influence the Middle East peace process?
Look, you mentioned China, right?
Yeah.
China have no real say in this issue. They know. China still is not really involved in international matters like other countries, not yet. Maybe they need some more time. The Chinese are very, very patient people. And when they do something, they study once and twice and they count till 10 and so on. But there is a full cooperation with the Chinese side, and there is a full support from the Chinese side. Now, related to the negotiation, when the other side says that you have no right for an independent state, why should I sit with you and discuss? I am coming to discuss an issue related to a certain target, which is a Palestinian independent state. And that state, look to which level I went. I have given them the right to have 78% of the land, and I only get 22%. And my population are double than their population. And yet I accept 22%. And yet they don't want to give me that 22%. So how can I negotiate? With whom should I negotiate? You see, frankly speaking, the United States of America is the only country, and the only country, who can provide the Palestinian with an independent state, because they are the only country who can tell the Israeli, do or don't do. And when they say it decisively, they will listen, because they have no other choice. It's proven always that Israel without America is nothing. Is nothing. Cannot last. So when the big boss says it should happen, it will happen. Until they say, we'll just wait and see.
We can talk about Palestine without mentioning Jerusalem. Recent clashes during Ramadan at Al-Aqsa once again reminded the world of the religious and political sensitivities. Do you think peace in Jerusalem must come first if we are to have peace in the region?
I think Jerusalem is an issue which no one, no Palestinian will be able or will dare give up Jerusalem. No one. Yani even if our leader once upon a time become a Jewish, he will not give Jerusalem to anyone. Jerusalem have it's a special case. Number one, it's not only belong to the Palestinian. This is, we call it, it's belong to the Muslim. This is waqf. You know the meaning of waqf. I think all the Bangladeshi understand. This is the first qibla of Islam. How can you give away the first qibla of Islam? No way. I mean, if you look at it from the geography, it's a tiny place. It's not about the place. It's about the meaning of it. This is the first qibla of Islam. We can never give it up. Never. You can give up anything, but not Jerusalem. No way. But then Jerusalem as a whole, by the way, it's huge. You have East and West. And West Jerusalem is 7-8 times bigger. Yours, take it. But East Jerusalem, the tiny East Jerusalem should be ours because it has Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. And also it has the, for the Christian also. Jesus Christ was born at the same time. So it's not acceptable for the Christian, not acceptable for the Muslims. We have accepted if they combine Jerusalem together and make it a joint capital for both. It's fine. But the problem is not, for them, is not Jerusalem. The problem, they don't want to give you 1 inch to establish independent state. And they were clear about it. It's not saying it behind closed door. They're clear about it. There's no Palestinian state. So somebody has to come and tell them. I think the Arabs today, position of the Arabs are more powerful, more stronger than before, and that they can impose their policy, especially on Mr. Trump, who's coming to make business. You coming to make business, you're most welcome. We'll do business with you, but we need something in return. And that, a Palestinian state. And I think this is what he's going to hear in Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, and from other Arab countries that he's going to visit.
Ambassador, on democracy, Palestinian elections have been postponed repeatedly. Do you believe Israeli occupation is the root cause of this democratic stagnation? And if elections are held, do you see it leading to more international recognition of Palestine's legitimacy?
Look, for election, we want election before anyone else. I personally want election. Not from today, from very long time. But the problem came like this. Okay, Israel said, you can make election, but not Jerusalem. It's not possible, because when we accept to exclude Jerusalem from the election, that means we exclude Jerusalem from the state. Election must happen, obviously. It should be. Because without democracy, I cannot fight for freedom unless if I enjoy democracy in my homeland. But Israel always make it difficult for us because they don't want democracy for the Palestinians. Because if they get used to the democracy, they will not accept occupation. This is a strategy in their head. So it has to be. But it will be a time, the first opportunity that we have, we must hold an election, because we finally wanted to know who are capable to run the Palestinian people and the struggle of the Palestinian people. Who does the people want? It's the people's choice. They have the right to choose.
You once wrote an op-ed urging people to watch the film Farah to understand Palestinian reality.
True.
Do you believe that cultural works like films, art, and literature are becoming powerful tools to fight disinformation and general empathy?
Yeah, look, it's our duty to use all tools in order to present our cause to the people, to the rest of the world. Culture, even the food that we make, we try to present it in to the world. That this is part of our culture. The falafel, the hummus, and musaqqan, and all these stuff that obviously culture is extremely important. Movies and music and dancing and all this folklore that we have. We used to be more active actually in this field, much more active, because we had an opportunity before. But today we are much less maybe ignorance about this issue, which I think is not correct. Maybe we had an opportunity before and we don't have any more the right opportunity to continue to do that, but I think we should do it. Yeah, I mean, you have seen this, I think you saw this movie, Farha. It was a very interesting one. It's a little boring, but it was very interesting. Palestinians have a culture, it's 7,000 years old culture. And you realize that even they talk about the Bible and they say that this is our land and so on and so on. But if you read the Bible, the Old Testament, the Torah, you say that the Torah mentioned that this is the land of the Palestinians. It's mentioned by name. This is the Canaanite lands. We are the Canaanites. Did you know that there is a very important issue here? Judaism is something different than other religion. You cannot convert to Judaism. Your mother should be a Jewish. It's a must. Otherwise, you cannot be a Jewish. Now, they discover that the majority of the people in Israel, which they call Jews, they're not Jewish. All the Ashkenazi, which represents 60 to 65% of the Jews, they're not Jewish. And that's why DNA is not allowed in Israel. It's the only country in the world which they don't allow DNA. Because if they allow DNA, people will discover that we're not the same people. We're not from the same mother and father. We're not from Yaqub alayhi salam. So this is also an issue. And those Ashkenazi in Israel, they are the people who run the country, and they call themselves the first-class citizen. And the other Jews, the real Jews, are the second-class citizen, and we are the third-class citizen.
Now, how can the media, particularly in the global South, contribute more actively to amplifying the Palestinian voice?
Yeah, this is a very important question. I mean, they should learn from the Bangladeshi. I think they should learn. Look, the media today, what's more important, Zulbay, is the social media, which is much more important than all other media, social media. And I think there's a lot of active people in the social media, extremely active people in the social media. But yet, look how it goes. If I wanted to post anything in the social media with a flag or anything, Facebook, they will remove it and they will send me a warning. But if the Israeli wants to do the same thing to promote his country, it's fine. Even that, I don't have a full right in the social media, in the Facebook, especially in Facebook. We're having a problem, even our embassy having a problem with that. We cannot post anything, cannot post everything we should post.
So we are at the end of the program. Would you like to add anything else?
I wanted to,
if you want to say anything
add
to
that
the viewers,
we are more optimistic today. The visit of Donald Trump to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, is is historical, no doubt about it. And we have big hopes. And these hopes, we don't have to wait long. We just have to wait 48 hours to see the result of the negotiation taking place. We hope that this man will think straight from the perspective and the interest of his country and not the interest of others. For the people of Bangladesh, I am always grateful to you. And I consider you my own family. And I always feel proud of you. And I will never forget what you have done for my people and for my country. And Eid Mubarak, because Eid is coming very soon.
Thank you, Ambassador Ramadan, for sharing your perspective on this painful yet powerful occasion. Nagba is not just a date in history, it is a call to conscience. As the world marks this day, the people of Bangladesh stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. Now and always, let us all remember that justice delayed is not justice denied forever. And until the right to return to peace and to dignity is restored, voices like yours, Ambassador Ramadan, will continue to inspire hope. Shukran jazilan.